Hi, welcome. I'm Jessie Walters from Charles Rutenberg. I'm here just relaxing on a very cloudy day. It wants to be cold out, but still not cold in Florida. I know that's why everybody wants to move here. I'm going to talk about some listings that I have that are available, some that have gone under contract, kind of like what the market's doing, what's available, and then also some tips if you're purchasing, and if you're selling, and also some tips on if you're a realtor, because some of my realtor friends watch this, or say you have your house listed, how to do open houses and stuff like that. So we're going to go over a bunch of stuff. Hopefully this will keep you guys entertained. And so I have some listings that are still available. Some of the lots are taking a little longer to sell these days. When they were ripping your arms out for any property that was available to build. Now I have a lot on Petunia. This lot is still available. It's only been on the market, it's been on the market, I want to say 60 days. And that one is Petunia, and that one is a good location as far as it's close to water. You have kind of everything there. You have a newer neighborhood, lots of new construction homes, just a nice location. And that one, as you can see, you can kind of see the canal going through the back and everything. That's a nice sized lot. You're going to have to remove some trees to get that house in there, but it's a good sized lot for building, and there's lots of new construction around that too. I have one also on I want to say Lakeview. Is it Lakeview? Oh, I'm drawing a blank. This one is on, let's see, Fairview. I'm like something view. Yeah, 2332 Fairview Road. This property is, again, this one's in Hernando County. This one's close to public schools, Suncoast Parkway if you're commuting to Tampa. Great location to build a home. As you can see, there's pool homes next to it. Nice location, nice big lot, just under a half acre. That one's 96,000, and it's a good location, like I said. Paved roads, close to lots of different residential neighborhoods, single-family residents. Between Spring Hill and County Line is the location, and close to Suncoast Parkway. As you can see, nice mature trees, so you might be able to save some of those when you build the house on there too. So just a beautiful piece of property. And you can see right next to that, it's right next to that pool home there. So you have nice neighborhood, homes to look at too, white fences, stuff like that, pools. So it doesn't look, the neighborhood looks very nice and stuff. I don't know if you're allowed to say, it doesn't look run down, looks well kept. Probably not allowed to say run down, but yeah, definitely well kept neighborhood. And so this one is still available. Like I said, the lots were flying out. They're going a little slower now. I have a great custom home builder. I have two houses being built by him now. So if you're looking for a custom home builder, I can definitely put you in touch with him, and we can, depending on what type of house you're looking for, we can definitely get you set up there on that one. I have another lot that is located in Sarasota County, and let me get my little list out. I want to say that one is Broad, and let's see. Yep, there it is. Again, this one is a nice location. There's like, I think that just that one tree. If you're building, that you're going to clear, just a lot that is all ready to be built on. Good price on that one, $29,000, and that's going to be more south of Clearwater, south of Tampa area and stuff. So, but upcoming area, there's more houses built by that one now. This picture is kind of an old aerial shot, but I have to get some newer aerial shots on these to kind of show you what the development has since we've had it listed and stuff on that one. At 7317 Diane, that one is under contract. So we've, that one we had the home inspection. It passed with flying colors. And so that one, we're going to go ahead, and that's the one that looks like a staged home too. It's not staged, like I was saying, they actually live there and stuff. So that one is through. We're just on to the appraisal, which is next, and then we're going to have the survey. And of course, as this all is going on, the loan process is going on too, which we can talk about as well if you're a first-time home buyer, and kind of give you tips on what the stages are. So the first stage obviously is to get it under contract. Second stage is to get the home inspection period to make sure the buyers and the sellers are all in agreement. And then the third step would be the appraisal. And then, like, as this is going, we're having the loans process. So, and the deposit from the buyer is being put into an escrow account. So all that stuff's going on in the meantime, but we've been pending for about 4 days, and all this stuff is processing as we're talking. So we're up for appraisal next. So if you liked that house and you're sad that it's under contract, keep an eye on it. But you can also pray that it goes through for us. That would be good, and positive vibes. I also have the one at 10090 David Drive. It's going back on the market. That one was off, and it's coming back on. It is a mobile home. I want to say it is 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 189 on 2.38 acres in Brooksville. That one's going to come back on the market. And then I also had 12507 Stagecoach. This house is in Hudson on Beacon Woods. Beacon Woods, here's a nice picture of it too. Beacon Woods is a nice community because there is the Hidden Gem golf course there, which meaning that it's got low rates on the golf. There's, you're going to have some, look at that fireplace, that looks good. You're going to have some less expensive rates. And so a lot of people go and play golf at Beacon Woods because of the price and stuff there. So I call it the Hidden Gem golf course. And then also there is a community center. There is a pool there, community pool. This house has all new laminate, new paint, new roof, new AC. We had an open house last weekend, and I thought about 2 people were going to actually purchase it last week, but it is still on the market. It got reduced to $340,000, which is a great deal for it's over 2,000 square foot, so say around 2,100 square foot, and it is $340,000. All the bathrooms have been redone. Electrical panels been redone, water heater redone, flooring, paint, kitchen, pretty much moving into, it looks just like a brand new house inside. Just a great, very nice house. There's a Lazy Susan. I left the door open there so you guys could see it. 2 Lazy Susans in the kitchen, so it's really good if you're super lazy. I'm just kidding. So yeah, so there's the master there. And then this one has all new fans and new tile, like I said, new flooring, new vanities, new toilets, just everything is brand new. So if you're one of those people, you like the house, but you don't want it to be someone else's where they're fix up, this one's been gutted and just totally redone. The new steps, and then you have the large baseboards, big crown molding, up-to-date tile, and like I said, laminate, blinds, huge actual closets, nice sitting area outside. So this house is definitely a looker. People walk in, they're like, wow, this house is nice, and it is not staged now as far as those are all, that's really the furniture that's in it. The pictures are actual furniture that's in there. The furniture is rented and it is staged, but it's not virtually staged. So we did at one point have it virtually staged because people were trying to figure out how to put their, their furniture and stuff like that in there. So this one, where the dining room is in front of the fireplace, you could also put a living area there and put the dining room table on the other side too. So it has some different options and stuff like that. Now, when we were talking about different listings and everything, as a realtor tip of the day, as a realtor, you want to make sure that your listings are getting marketed, that you're there and you're actually promoting the listing without being a pain where you're like, hey, it's this for sale. You want to buy this listing? You want to buy this, with your friends and family and stuff like that. So you have Zillow, you have Realtor.com, you have WhatsApp, you have HotPads, you have all these different, I could go on and on. You have all these, you have Google search, you have ways, you have just all these different ways to market your listing and stuff like that. So the first thing, on the one house I just showed you, the one on Stagecoach, I had another open house on another day, or on the same day, and I couldn't make it over there to do that open house too. So when that happens, I have other realtors come in and they're in my office and stuff, and they'll say, oh, I would love, especially if they're new, I would love to do an open house for you. So I said, okay, that's great. So anyway, meanwhile, as this open house is going on, and I have, so I put out email blasts. I do all this advertising, do all this stuff. So a lot of realtors will feel like, well, that's good enough. We'll put a couple signs out. But in reality, you still need to catch people's eyes, even if they're trying to find the house, even though we have all this navigational systems and stuff like that. You still want to put out, your signs, make them bigger signs. I usually put balloons out, to actually, even if they see the advertisement, they're looking at the arrows and they're seeing how to get in at least. And if you're just driving by, maybe you're on your way to the beach, or maybe you're on the way to the grocery store and you're like, oh, there's open house. I want to move. Maybe I'll just take a quick look. And of course, you're going to catch those people too by putting a larger sign and balloons and eye catching and stuff like that. But I did have a complaint, and I got kind of a kick out of it. It was a great learning experience. So I had a realtor who helped me out for this open house, and I have the pictures and stuff, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So the homeowner calls and says, "Oh my gosh, I don't even know if you can see the sign, but anyway, there's a little teeny sign there." And she said, "Is this your signs?" And I was doing another open house, and I have of course, you can probably tell by my personality, I have super obnoxious purple signs that are everywhere. This one, these signs, it's a little red open house sign. You can get them from Lowe's or Home Depot. Not to say that they're bad, but maybe if you tie a balloon to them, they would be more visible. So the homeowner sent me this and said, "Is that your sign?" And then the next one, she sent me another one. And you see the signs? And she said, so I called the agent. I said, "Do you have signs up?" And she said, "Yeah, I have 2 on each side of the driveway." But as you know, a lot of people wear glasses, stuff like that. So you really need to make those signs more visible. So this is kind of like the do's and don'ts on an open house. So if you saw it online and then you were just going there anyway, then yeah, that would confirm you don't need bigger signs than that. But if you're driving by, now this is my sign. Now you can see the couple balloons on there. There's a balloon on the actual listing itself. And then every corner, as you're coming off the main roads, you're going to see, and so that's instead of the double signs, we have one sign on the one side driveway, one sign on the other side driveway, and then there's a turn up on the corner, and so then we have another sign that has a balloon on it, and then so that's coming right off. This one's right off of Little Road and 5A, and so these signs are, you got balloons. Of course, the balloons, some of them pop, and here's an open house. Confirm that you're at the right house again, right in the front chair. So these are signs that are on main roads, and then you'll follow them in, and you'll kind of see that you're actually you're going in the right position. Or if you're just driving by, like I said, and you're like, oh, I want to see an open house, or if you're like the guy that came in on Saturday last week and you just want a donut, you can always get a free donut and a water bottle and take off from there. But so like I was saying before, I got a kick out of him because his wife was sitting in the car and I had the house full of people and she never came in. And so that's kind of like, as a realtor, you're like, you guys are both looking for a house, you know what I mean? So if one stays in the car, that it's probably not a house that they're serious about buying, because if you're looking at a house, of course, unless he comes in and goes, "Hey, come on in, I like this one." But he came in and told me it was too big and he just needed a 2-bedroom. He didn't need a 4-bedroom. So-and-so, and took a donut, which, I mean, that's what they're there for, and a water bottle. And so I would at least, if I was her, I would at least come in and got a donut. But anyway, so you're going to have visitors like that. But the whole point is that if you are spending the time to do an open house, the dollar store has those balloons, which I had on there. They're $1 each. Spend about $10 and decorate your signs. And it's an investment in your listing, but it's also investment in your, as part of the advertising. You can write it off, stuff like that too. So you can write the signs off, you can write the balloons off. So it's a win-win as far as your customers and stuff go. And when you're doing the open houses too, you don't want to have the good scent smelling too much where they overtake the house where people are coughing, but you want to have some type of, like I said, donuts, water, a candle. If you're in a house where there is furniture and stuff, if they have music, some type of, not of course like, Metallica, more like a jazz music, or not AC/DC, more like a Christmas type music. And if things are decorated for Christmas right now with some poinsettias, just poinsettias aren't real expensive. You can get them for $3.99, $4.99 at Lowe's, and all over the place. Walmart, everywhere has them pretty inexpensive. And you throw a couple of those down at the front door. That's a great way to get people in the Christmas spirit. And you're having an open house, and you've got like treats, and you got the festive music and the candles, and you got the balloons outside. So it's more like a kind of like a festive type party rather than a here's open house, dead silence. People walk in, awkwardness with dead silence. Hi, and then people just feel like, I got to get out of here. It's too quiet, stuff like that. So if you can have those things going on in the background, it's just appealing the senses. So you've got all the lights on. You've got the air condition, if it's not cold, which it hasn't been cold yet. You've got the air condition set. I hate to say this, around 75, like 74. So it's nice and cool inside. You've got your jazz music. You've got a candle. And you're dressed, obviously your realtor or whoever's in there is dressed, not so much festive, but like you're dressed, professionally, and you're in there and you've got the paperwork to show your printout of your house, which is always nice, so that the people get the listing, they get to take it with them, they can analyze how much the taxes are on there, how the price, all the information, and then you have a nice sign-in sheet. Sign-in sheet is to find out, hey, where did they even see this open house? Was it on Zillow? Was it on Realtor.com? Was it just from the signs going by? Was it from the email blast and the realtor told them? Was it, just basically to narrow down for your advertising if you're an agent and you're trying to figure out what works best as far as getting the word out for the home open houses. So those are all like tip 101 on open houses, and I have had good feedback and stuff on my open houses. But again, you don't want to waste your time, sit in an empty house, put a couple signs out, and then wonder why it's so slow. You want to do those things with your advertisement, with your signs, with the balloons, and stuff like that. So that will actually bring people in, make the house look more inviting. Like I said, a couple poinsettias and some balloons. You'd be surprised how it changes the feel of just a couple red signs, no balloons, and your car's outside, and people will still come in and go, is this the open house? So you want to make it more festive and stuff. Even red balloons right now are red and silver for Christmas. So anyway, those are all my tips on open houses. I hope I didn't bore you guys too much on that, but it was kind of on my mind because of the experience I had last weekend with complaints and stuff like that. But we made up for it with the balloons and everything too. So everybody, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Jessie Walters. I'm from Charles Rutenberg, and I'm just talking to you guys about the listings I have and open houses and just good information for this time of year, of course, all year. This time of year it gets a little slower. Well, it's a little sporadic because of Christmas. So a lot of people, they want to look at houses, but then they don't have time. They're buying presents. So you get a lot of people that are in visiting, and they just want to see basically open house because they went to visit their friend and they're just driving by, and you want to have these houses looking good and stuff like that. So it was a lot of information on how to do that, and feel free to stop in if you see an open house, or if you see one of our open houses. You of course will be welcome. There was one property I want to also, it's on David Drive, I want to also mention. It is 1.5 million. It is just under 20 acres. I want to say that most of the acreage on it is buildable. but there are some, there is water around the whole thing. So it's kind of like an island in a way. It's a nice, unique property. It would be good for a storage unit. Of course, you got to check the county to see what you can build there. An ACL left, some townhouses. It's right off of US 19, which they call Commercial Way when it gets more north. That's in Hernando County, just about a mile and a half past State Road 50 on the east side of the road. So that's like I said, a unique property, a big property, and that one is also available for sale. And we were talking, I was going to tell you guys about just different tips when you're buying, which I'll go over that in a second too. But I want to talk to you guys about with Ian, with the hurricanes and stuff like that. I know right now they are reviewing how they're going to handle our insurance here in Florida. A lot of people are kind of nervous and stuff about that. I had a bunch of questions and stuff like that on Ian. People would ask, and of course, most of it is the questions and stuff like that are based out of Sarasota County or Sarasota, Florida. Not so much Pasco, Pinellas, and Hernando, and Hillsborough, because we weren't really hit by Ian. What I don't know if a lot of people know is that if you live in a flood zone and you're impacted by a hurricane and you're trying to rebuild, they have what they call a 50% rule, which is kind of interesting, but yet frustrating because a lot of people don't know. So what a 50% rule is, so your house, just to kind of sum it up, and this is just, you can verify this with each county that you whichever county you live in. So let's just say Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, when they bought a $500,000 house, and let's just use City of Newport Richey as an example, because I had a customer with this before. So they bought a $500,000 house. They feel that the house is worth, now at this point, it was worth $510, now it's worth $499, but basically like $500 as a number. So they go into to the county, and let's just say that they had some property damage from the storm. This, of course, didn't affect us, but if it was Sarasota County, it'd be totally a different thing. But so they wanted to get some windows done, and they wanted to upgrade a couple things at their property. So with this being said, windows were, because they have to get the hurricane impact windows where they are in the flood area that they're in. So their windows, which would have been about 12 to 15, are now going to be about 20 to 30,000. And then they wanted to get some other things. They wanted to get, an addition. They wanted to get all these different things. With that being said, the price came out to, let's just say, 100,000 improvements. The FEMA law, or the FEMA rule, they call it, is, say, for instance, you're in Sarasota County and you get damaged. Say your house is worth 300,000 as a number, and you got to get a kitchen, you got to get your flooring, you got flooded, you got to cut out all the drywall, you got to put all the electrical in from where you cut out all the drywall, you've got your roof ripped off, you've got, let's see what else, your pool cage wrecked. Let's just say all those repairs and stuff. Now, what the 50% rule is that you cannot improve that property more than 50% spent on that home. In other words, if your house is worth $300,000 and it's going to cost you $200,000 to improve it, the county won't give you a permit for that because of FEMA. There's a FEMA rule, and it's a little confusing, but if you live in a flood zone area and you're curious about that, you can call your municipality. But City of Newport Richey, back before all that, the prices had gone, this time, skyrocketed. This home was worth like $200,000, and they were saying the improvements on the home. So you would think that you couldn't spend more than $100,000 on it, so it was worth $200,000. But in reality, they take all those improvements throughout the years, and they added them up, and they said those improvements plus these other improvements would make this property go over the 50% rule. So make sure that 50% rule isn't a running tally too. So if it's already had some claims on it, make sure before you go to the county, because what they want to do is they want FEMA not to keep paying out on these properties. In other words, FEMA will give you money to repair your property if you don't have insurance, but FEMA will do that one time they don't want to keep seeing you back and spending 100,000, spending 100,000. So they cap it off. So you have 50% rule. So you can only spend this much money. Otherwise, they'll take like the lid off your house, like the roof, and you're going to build up. And then a lot of times now they're not paying for that actual. So your one-story 1978 home, they take the top off and they build that up, and now you've got a two-story. The bottom is just like kick out. But it depends on that. Now it depends on your flood level. Is the base part high enough in the flood the flood elevation for your main living room of your new, and all that stuff comes into play too. So if you're asking about what ifs, or if you're in Sarasota County and you're dealing with the 50% rule, it's a little bit scary. So the one says, this was saying some Southwest Florida officials hope to change, but if destruction surpasses 50% of home value, not including the land, it falls under newer and costlier building codes, and of course the dreaded 50% rule, which is, they're not going to add the land value in there, but they are going to add, the claims, and then when you get up to half that amount, which a lot of people don't know, they just go in and they're like, okay, my property's damaged. I'm going to go spend $100,000 on my house, but it's worth 180. No, that's not going to fly if you're in a FEMA area. So make sure you really check into that. I think Northport, all those different areas, Sarasota County, all that, they're having some different issues on trying to actually explain that to people, and then readiness and stuff like that. So I guess what's good about it is, I want to say that the housing market, how much it's gone up, it helps, because if you have to spend, if your house was worth 300, but now your house is actually worth 500, and you've already had claims, now you can spend, you think you can spend 250, but it goes by how much claims you've had on your house. So at least you can spend a lot more than the 300, it's gone up considerably. But anyway, if you want to Google that or reach out, it's kind of a random thing to talk about with the 50% rule, but not a lot of people know when you're buying in a flood zone in an area that's been kind of like, a lot of like Pensacola, where they just keep rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding. FEMA will only do that up to a certain point. So of course it's a government, you have to put that into consideration. Then the other thing was on the condos. I had questions, someone had asked, the first floor condos, who pays? So a lot of times the carriers or the condo association, even though you're in a flood zone, they won't carry flood insurance, because say for instance, the whole, as a whole, they won't have to. It's not a Florida law requirement. Some of them do and some of them don't. So a lot of times on those bottom floor condos, I think the homeowners in the bottom floors were just assuming that the condo had flood insurance and was going to pay for them on the bottom floors, and that's not necessarily a thing either. So make sure if you're getting a bottom floor condo and you're in a flood zone that you get your own flood insurance, and or you verify the condominium that you're moving to, that they have flood insurance. So it's just one of those things that we don't really think about until you're in that situation. And I know there's a lot of different condos for sale that are in flood zones. And there's a lot of bargains right now on those first floor condos in Sarasota because they just got devastated. So as the government assistance on the condos and stuff like that, the government assistance can apply for your first floor condo too. So you can go to FEMA and you can get a grant or a loan. They'll help you with your rebuilding that if you did not have flood insurance on the first floor condo. But it doesn't necessarily mean that, like I said, that the condo association is going to then pay their deductible and then they're going to fix your condo for you. I think that's kind of a misconception too. But you can again apply for FEMA assistance at FEMA.gov/assistance for that. And then a lot of times, let's see, what was the other thing they were asking about? They were asking about condos on the land. I think it's going into, if they have to if they have to review the actual claims and stuff like that, and they suggest to get an attorney to make sure whatever you're signing is correct. Because I think a lot of times, especially when you have a condo, you have a whole bunch of people and you're under pressure as far as the presidents and stuff like that to, if you are applying for assistance, to just take whatever assistance and agree and stuff like that. But again, it's better to have an attorney look at it so you don't end up getting a bunch of lawsuits and stuff like that. And also on the first floors to make sure, if ask the questions, has this ever been flooded before, stuff like that. Of course, now a lot of the first floors, some of the places were condemned and stuff like that. I know in Daytona, a lot of those places have to be built or have to be rebuilt and stuff like that. And I don't know exactly how they're handling that, but it's always good to know that information prior. If you're really close to the water, you got the $1 million view, but then also you have the risk, and we always say risk with reward. So you got that beautiful view, but then you also have the unique Florida problem of, waterfront. This is what I want to retire. This is what I signed up for, but then also what I just signed up for, So this was an example when I was saying about the 50% rule. I don't know if this might make it clear, but it says, so if someone bought a house for 300, but the home is valued at just 100, this means any repair work would need to be less than 50,000. If the estimate for repair comes in above the figure, a homeowner will be required to raise their house and meet a new building code. So that kind of puts it in layman's terms. And it is a cost prohibitive to raise the structure to meet FEMA regulations. And they're saying some people will not be able to afford that. And they have a multiplier, but so some people have already got bad news. And that's what this article was all about, was because people are writing in saying, they didn't realize that they were going to just do 50,000 worth of repairs. They're in a special hazard area for flood, and then the FEMA is saying no. Your house, you can't do the repairs. So I think they let you stay in your house for so long, but then after that, you have to move out. So literally, the people have to walk away from their house and stuff, which is really sad. So that's kind of like bad news, but they're going to they're discussing right now in the whether how to do the insurance and stuff like that. So I heard a whole bunch of different rumors, which we won't really go into too much because I don't want to put it into think that it could possibly happen. But they're saying, like, Citizens was saying that if you got insurance and you're in a flood zone, they would make you have to get flood insurance then. So people like investors and stuff like that, they'll have a house and it'll have homeowners insurance for fire, but then it won't have flood insurance because it's a rental house and they don't live there, and so they're not really worried about their belongings and stuff like that. So Citizens is trying to say, like, hand in hand, you can't have the homeowners insurance unless you get the flood insurance too. So like I said, we're not sure if that's going to pass or not. But they are reviewing that and stuff. So we'll find out. I wanted to thank my sponsors. I wanted to thank Freddie. We have his information up here. Freddie Rapina at OptaFinancial. Thanks for sponsoring us. He does great financial, I would say, plans with, as we were talking about before, with stocks being involved and real estate being involved and just a whole bunch of different, like a new way to think, not just stocks, not just real estate, like a whole just different way to think, fresh new way to think. So if you guys are looking to, January 1st, New Year's resolution to start saving and to start with some goals, he can tell you how to basically make money out of the air, because he's good at doing that. And telling you where you have money, where you didn't realize it, and how to reinvest what money or what equity you have and stuff like that. So definitely a great person to call if you have the opportunity or the actual time and you're actually thinking about, oh, what do I do with this extra tax return money or whatever you're at, wherever you're at. Also, Delynn at the mortgage firm, I want to thank her, Delynn Gaston. She got an award recently, so congratulations on that. Dylan, and she's who I use for my mortgage needs. Also, Nightberry Title Services, who I use for all my title. We've got Cheryl Alvarez Herney, who is the branch manager, also the regional branch manager. Great person to work with. And if you need any help, or if you just have questions about, your title policy, how much it's going to cost, what your costs are going to incur for your closing, whether you're buying or selling. Dylan's a great person. Sorry, Cheryl. Dylan is a great person, but Cheryl's who I'm talking about. Cheryl's a great person to call on this. And like I was saying to you guys before, there's the Nightberry title. It's an app you can put on your phone, and then you can just look it up. If whatever you're doing, if you're buying or selling or whatever you're doing, there's a little part in there, and you can put your interest rates and all sorts of stuff, just different things in there, and adjust. And it'll tell you the sellers, the prices, how much it's going to cost. It'll tell you the buyers, and then it'll tell you, oh, I have my house listed, but I was thinking about calling Open Door. It'll tell you how much they'll take advantage of you, which is usually like $40K, but they have an app in there for that. They don't name just that company. They name all the different companies that do that. But the loss is usually about $40,000 without even having to go on the app, but they have that in there. And they have all sorts of different things, which is pretty cool as far as the app. And you don't have to pay for it. It's free. I pay for one. I pay for it. I want to say it's $10 a year. So I can get extra advertising and stuff like that. So if you're a realtor watching and you want to get some extra like Christmas things where you can put your face on and all that stuff, it's all in there too. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, that's Nightberry Title Services. So thanks to all my sponsors. I really appreciate you guys. I want to talk to you guys about purchasing. And so when you're on a budget, so if you guys stay tuned, we're going to talk about buying a house on a budget, and I'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. I'm Jessie Walters from Charles Rutenberg. Wanted to talk to you guys about buying a home and you're on a budget. So we have tax returns about to come up, New Year's resolutions, maybe you're saving, maybe it's going to take you a couple of years to get down payment. But so what I want to talk to you guys about is, so you find a house, you really like it, you're going to put an offer in, and now the market's kind of changed. So should I lowball them? And I had a client, my mom said we should insult them and then maybe they'll come back. So sometimes, and as a realtor, you want to say, well, you don't really want to insult them. You want to get a good deal. We can put a lower offer in, but they will not acknowledge you, or they'll take another offer that comes along in the meantime if we goof around too much, So, buyers kind of live and learn with that. So we went forward, we went with what the mom had said, and they didn't get that house because they lowballed and someone else had come in at the same time, because it looks like we're just kind of almost not serious about it. So what you want to do is pretend that you are the seller, even if you are the buyer, so you can kind of switch and go, okay, what would I take? You know what I mean? What's their mortgage on the house? What's the other houses going for in the neighborhood? And then come up with an idea that way. And of course, listen to your realtor. If I'm your realtor, I'll try to steer you in the correct direction on that. So you don't want to still lowball, but you want a good deal. That's no problem. You want to ask maybe for more closing costs than you would have, say, 6 months ago. If you're about to buy, but you're short some money and you need some closing costs, now's a good time to say, hey, would you pay some of my closing costs? Would you pay a couple, like 1% of my closing costs? Your realtor, or again, me, will know how to ask the other realtor to put that in the we would put that in the contract and ask that seller to help us out. Another good option right now too is going to be buying interest rates down, which we'll go into that. So let's just say you found a home and you got them to pay some closing costs and you're all happy and you're getting your home inspection done. I'm going to talk to you again because we've talked about this before about kind of like what not to do. So you want to go ahead and your loan processing is going through and you're like, well, as soon as I buy this house, I'm gonna. Now that's what could get you into trouble. So you don't want to go get a Home Depot credit card, Lowe's credit card because you're going to put a kitchen in yourself. You don't want to go and get the laminate floors ready to go on credit. And the lenders don't really want to see a whole bunch of money just coming out in cash out of your bank accounts either. So you want to stay low on that. And I always say don't go buy a bunch of brand new furniture for your house. Wait until you get the house because you might not know that you're on the cusp. If you have Dylan with the mortgage firm, she's going to tell you don't do anything, freeze, But if your lender hasn't really said anything, but you're first time buyer and you're just like, I want a big screen TV and I'm going to put it here and I want this, Ashley furniture, I want it here and it's not, I don't have to start paying for 6 months or 180 days or whatever. It's going to change your debt ratio. So you don't want to do that. So that's one thing. Another thing is don't change your jobs while you're under contract. So let's just say you're a nurse and you get paid really good money, and that's awesome. And you work at Meese, and then you say, well, this house I'm going to buy, Meese is in Clearwater. I'm going to go ahead and move to Pasco, so I'm going to work at Trinity. Unless they're the same exact, like say it's Baycare and you're still under the same employer, you do not want to switch jobs. The reason for that is because you're going to have so many paychecks from your new job, even if it's in the same line of work. So they're going to want to see these paychecks, confirmation that they're coming in. That's going to delay your loan because you're going to have to wait for these paychecks to come in for the underwriter. So you're going to have to add on maybe 30, maybe 60 days more, and you're under contract. So your seller is going to want to kill you. Your realtors want to kill you, but that's okay. You're going to make it through because you're not going to do that. You're going to stay at your same job. So you want to look at all those things. In fact, no debt, no motorcycles, no. These are all things that have blown deals for me. Do not go buy a motorcycle. Do not go buy a new car because everybody in your neighborhood has a new car. Do not go buy new furniture. Do not go buy all your home improvements ahead of time. Just basically don't get any more debt and don't open any credit cards whatsoever. And don't go crazy. It's Christmas time right now. Don't go put a whole bunch of stuff, max out all your cards that you have for Christmas. Tell everybody it's going to be beans and rice Christmas, just, at least this year until you get the house under, through, if you're under contract. If you're not under contract and you're still noticing, someone will price the house just right, and it'll be a neighborhood that is very sought after, and people will say there's no such thing as bidding wars. Well, there is still a shortage on properties, which means that there are still, when you list a property and it's a sought after community, there are still a couple offers coming in at a time, meaning that would be a bidding war. You got two offers coming in, or possibly 3 offers coming in. Of course, they're going to look at the strongest offer. They're probably not going to get 10 offers. Most likely, they're going to get 2. So don't feel overly confident because the news is telling you that it's a buyer's market. Remember, we're in Florida, so we were kind of like beat to dance to a different beat, meaning that our bidding wars and stuff like that are totally different because some people want to retire here, they want to live here, and you have different areas that people really love to live in. And you'll see the house go for sale, and then a day later it's under contract, and then you'll see another area and it's not under contract for like 60 days. And the reason is because of the shortages in those areas. So if you have an area that it's just everything's for sale, they can pick and choose, and there's no rush to buy the homes. If you have a sought after neighborhood with the A-rated schools, and you see a house go for sale, you'll see it definitely go under contract quickly. So be careful of the news telling you that it's going to be on the market for a long time, because I just had one, Trinity, Florida, and it was 2 days under contract, cash buyer. So don't get too full yourself as far as being the buyer's market. You also want to be careful of Zestimants lately. So if a lot of people play the Zestimate game, I call it. So I have one, they're friends now. They've bought and sold a couple of houses with me, and they'll say, that house I sold, it went up 20 grand. That house, house we bought, it went up 20 grand. So it's up, now, the house we sold, it's down. Now, so be careful on playing the Zestimate game, only because you can have one person in the neighborhood sell really low and all the other ones sell kind of high. And depending on the dates, because we don't want to go back 60, 90 days as appraisers do, we want to look at the current market situation to price the houses now. We don't want to go back to 6 months ago and price a house that way. Unfortunately, you have to do it with what's going on now. If you don't have great credit, like I was saying, Dylan can help you with that and put a plan for your future as far as how to purchase the home and stuff like that. Because I think a lot of people are like, I don't have good credit, and then that's it. But that's not it. So, you know what I mean? To get that plan. So if a home meets 85% of the requirements, make an offer. So that's one thing, because people get so like, no, this doesn't have this, doesn't have this, doesn't have this, doesn't have, but it's like more like, what does it have? If you like, I think if you walk in and it lights you up and you're like, this is great. Oh, this house is wonderful, except it doesn't have whatever, like I had one nice couple, they wanted double vanity. And I know it's like a deal breaker, but literally, is there room for a double vanity? I mean, they're not really that expensive compared to the whole house. And I said, well, what if I could get the seller to put a double vanity in? And they said, I didn't think of that. Yeah, so that's actually a possibility. You could sell the old vanity, put in a double vanity. So, I mean, if that's the deal breaker, that's not that bad, Another thing I'm getting a kick out lately is as we're walking through houses and you're a first-time home buyer, you guys probably know this more than me, especially if you're from like if you're in your 20s right now and walking through a house, that there's probably microphones and cameras going. And it literally, I feel like I'm a little delayed on it, but I do get it. I do see them, So as you're walking through the house, what you should not do is show your cards. So if you walk to the house and there's cameras and microphones, and usually they have to tell you and disclose, you have to sign a form, but sometimes people don't know that they're in the house. Some of the realtors don't see them either, and they just don't even recognize them. So they're in the house. The worst thing for you to do is to show all your cards by meaning, wow, this house is perfect. I would give them the asking price, but I'm going to go lower. I'm going to, it's 500? Let's start at 450, but I'll go 5, no problem. I have to have this house. These are things that you do not want to say in someone's house, especially if you're not really sure if they have the video cameras going, because literally they could be at work listening to every single word you say, and that's another thing too. Like, so if you're a person that goes and opens the refrigerator up, and you're on video camera opening the refrigerator, so I mean, be nosy, but don't be above and beyond. I know people like to open the drawers. I always like to open the one below the sink in the kitchen. Kind of tells you how they maintain the whole house in just one drawer. You open that drawer up, and if that whole drawer is rotted with the leak that they didn't fix under the sink, that's definitely one way to tell. So it's kind of like one place to look. But be careful of those. Definitely be careful of those video cameras that are everywhere and what you're saying. Another thing too is when you're walking around the house, don't be too loud where the neighbors can hear you as well, as far as showing your cards again, saying like, oh, I like this, this would be perfect. Oh, wow, look how nice her house is. Oh, I really like this. Anything that the neighbors can hear, because most likely they're going to go back and tell the seller, oh, I can't live without this. Oh, I could see us putting a playground here. I'd put the pool here. All that stuff is great, and you can say it if you're outside. But again, there's cameras outside, and there's also nosy neighbors. So you want to still, keep it on the down low. you talk like this if you're outside to your realtor. I think we could put a pool in. What do you think? Do you think the county would let us put a pool in? Stuff like that. But don't be like, I can't live without this house, on the video cameras and stuff like that. So they're saying use a poker face, and that way when you negotiate, they don't know that you're all in. Or if maybe you're not, maybe you want to be on camera saying, I hate this place. I'm only here because of you, honey. Maybe play good cop, bad cop. I have a lot of customers do that, and they'll fight over who's going to be good cop and who's going to be bad cop on the way in if the sellers are home. But that's one of those. They make me laugh, but that's one of those. I'm going to pretend like I hate it, and the other one's going to pretend like they love it, and then they're going to fight in front of the sellers. I've had that, but it's usually people that have purchased before and apparently are bored and want to just, I guess, entertain me because it makes me laugh, But anyway, so have a poker face. If you can, don't give up all your cards. When you go under contract, a lot of people from 6 months ago gave up the home inspection period and stuff like that, and not necessary to give up the home inspection period unless it's a hot property and you're seeing lots of people there and there's other offers. You can still use that home inspection as a tool, but what I would say is to limit the days on the home inspection, put 5 instead of the standard, which is 14 or 15 on the contract. So maybe just take that down. Make sure you can get a home inspection in 5 days, which most of the times you can, but just put that as a negotiation tool. Get a home inspection so you know what you're getting into, what you need to repair and stuff. So you can actually, this actually is saying, I said, look under the sink. They're saying to look at the flooring. Look at the flooring to see how the house is kept as far as, like the dirt in the corners, the high dust on the baseboards, the wear, the holes in the flooring and stuff like that. You can kind of see how the actual house has been cared for, if it's buckled, if it's, always move the area rugs just to look underneath, make sure that they're not covering, anything up as far as the area rugs, and then I've had more than one with the took a pan and burnt a hole in the, even on granite, in the kitchen, and then put something on top of it. And then we're doing the walkthrough, and there's we didn't even notice it on the home inspection. No one noticed it, but you move the granite, and there's a burnt mark. Keep a lookout for those too, because that's a common thing. But this one is saying to keep track of the flooring, and then, like I said, underneath of the vanities, all the water areas, to check those. This is the worst ever. Don't use the bathroom in the house. So I don't know why this happens. I've gotten calls from my sellers more than once on this, where the buyers have seen so many houses and then they decide that they're going to use your house as like a pit stop. So just make sure that, I hate to say to go after your buyer, and just make sure they flush the toilets always. I've had this happen so many times, and to me, I know it's not comical at all, but it is kind of comical when you get the call or the text, hey, by the way, who is in the house, the buyer did this or that in the bathrooms, blah, blah, blah. And I hardly ever will yell at your buyer, because they might be the buyer of the house. So they get like the free card, the go past, do not collect $200. No, they get to go, they get to collect. It's fine. But make sure that if they're with you and that they go into the bathroom, make sure you hear a flush. If you don't, go back around and flush. Only because I didn't get the call from the seller where they want to kill me because of your buyers and stuff. So it's the same thing at the open houses. You don't want to go in and like leave presents for people in the open houses. So we'll just leave it like that. So you want to make sure that also you have your pre-qualification letter. If you're going to go out and look at open houses and stuff like that, and you're not under contract and you're not worrying about home inspections and you're just looking, make sure you're pre-qualified, only because if you do perhaps run into that house, the pre-qualification letter is going to last you usually 60 days, some last 90, but you're going to want to make sure that's a current pre-qualification letter to that way if you do happen across your dream home, you're ready to go. And then, so they were saying, let the house smell fresh, but not artificial. So I always say, let the house smell like candles, like just not in every room, stuff like that. If you're selling, just like just enough to kind of make it smell nice and stuff. You don't, like I said, you don't want to hit it in the face with, it smells like perfume too much. Some people get real irritable, like their noses and throats and stuff. And also, if you're selling and stuff, to not get too emotional about the house, which is the understatement of the year. How can you say not to get emotional about, like, if you raise kids and stuff like that there? But the best thing to do is to try to separate it and concentrate on the new house when you're selling the old house. So I hope these tips helped you guys. I hope you guys all have a great day. And I'm going to be back next week, and we're going to talk about Christmas, New Year's resolutions, and just everything and the current market and just everything about real estate. So don't stay tuned. Come back and see me next week. Thanks. Bye.